Hi everyone. So today I have the amazing Abraham with us. Hi Abraham, how you doing?
Hi there. How you doing?
Thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very, very busy person, both at career and at home with all the different projects that you do. So first off, I just want to say congratulations, Abraham. Congratulations on your new role as a head of procurement. Is that your job title?
That's the formal title today. We'll see what
Good
happens in
stuff.
the future. Who
See what
knows?
happens. You'll take over the world, right?
I wouldn't quite say that. The great dictator will have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit longer. That's right. He's on his way. He's on his way. So how are you feeling, Abraham? Because I know that when you and I were working together, one of the things you kept on telling me was that, I'm not a very patient person. I need things to happen yesterday.
Um, am I an impatient person? Definitely impatient. Do I want to run at, you know, Mark 25 instead of one step at a time? Yeah, that's me all
Yes.
over. Am I impatient to deliver results? Yes. But
Yes.
sometimes the waiting game, the long game is the
Yeah.
lesson you learn. When you're in when you're without a role and
Yeah.
you feel in yourself a little bit in panic mode
Yeah.
because you're a contract and you're used to feast and famine, and the
Yeah.
famine time is never comfortable.
Yeah.
You're always pushing that little bit harder to go forward and forward and forward. When you're in a role and you're secure a little bit and you know what you're doing, and as you start in somewhere new, you have to make your impression gently
Mm.
because you can't upset every apple cart in
Yes.
the first few days.
Yes.
You sometimes have to be a little bit cautious, and the team has to come with you in that particular journey, and they got to teach you. And
Yes.
that is where I am right now. I am
Yes.
in the learning curve mode. I've
Great.
been in this role for exactly 3.5 days so far.
And already making an
Um,
impact, right, Abraham?
Little by little.
Little by little. Yes.
One of the first things I did as soon as they said to me, by the way, you're going to get the role, and it took them nearly a week and a half to get the contract and everything else. It was Christmas. What do you want?
Yeah.
The world almost shuts down over Christmas. I was straight on to the classic places. I need the book. I need to understand what I'm going to be doing, what the technologies I'm working with,
Mm.
and start to read up about it and start to get my stuff learned. I was starting to swallow that book absolutely page by page as
Wow.
fast as I
Wow.
could.
Wow.
But that is me. I want to understand what I'm working with, not just the role, but also the technology. And
Yes.
it means I am doing something that I'm not used to. I'm
Mm.
outside my absolute comfort zone.
Great.
And you know what? I actually enjoy it. There's something I can see to myself, blimey, I don't know this. I
Yeah.
don't understand this.
Gotcha.
Explain it, teach me, tell me, help
Yes.
me understand what this is.
Mm.
That's a massive way to approach the experts in the field, the team or whatever. Just tell me what this is. Tell me how it works. Tell me how this place works. Tell me how things, who I need to talk to, where I need to go, or whatever.
Yes.
Nothing quite so powerful as a little bit of vulnerability to say, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know everything. Come and tell me.
Love it. Love that. Love that. And just wanted to go back to something that you said there because you're telling me, Abram, you and I worked together from the very first call. I looked at your amazing experience and everything you've done, and you've done, procurement, contract management. You've run teams. You've done all these things, all these amazing industries and companies all over the place.
Yeah,
But then now you're transitioning into a completely new, all that experience and all that value, and now you're transferring it into completely new industry. Is that right?
it is a totally new industry. Yes, it is
Yes.
a new industry fundamentally in
Yeah.
terms of this industry did not really exist 5 years ago.
Gotcha. Wow. So you had the
But
cutting edge stuff.
yeah, but there is a lot of read across from technologies I have
Mm.
seen before.
Yes.
Maybe different environments, maybe different
Yes.
scenarios and different scales,
Mm.
but there is literally stuff that I have worked on that has ended up in places, of all places, Mars,
Wow.
that is now sort of like, oh, I remember that. Hang on, that was 20 odd years ago. So like, oh, is that how they're doing it? Okay. And that now looks vaguely familiar to me. And so, like, okay, I can get the fundamentals of how this works. I am digging back into almost prehistoric history, or it feels like it at times. But also with that is there's a heck of a lot of experience I can bring to them and saying,
Yes.
I've done this before, I've done this before. Have you be cautious of this issue because I've got the bruises to show for it. I'd rather
Yes.
you did not.
Gotcha. Yes, and that's the amount of value they bring to the table when you can come in and it's almost like they're getting all of your experience off the shelf
Mm.
to deal with the issues here from even from different industries and bring it in, correct?
Even from different countries, it's just something
Yes.
just, oh, you want to expand into a different country.
Mm.
Who's your law? What's your languages? What's
Yes.
primary?
Yeah.
What's secondary? Yeah, it's
Mm.
great. Contracts written in, I don't know, Spanish and English.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we were getting into a dispute and you're working with suppliers you've never worked with before,
Yes.
which language am I going to go to when I'm going to have my discussion?
Mm.
Hopefully we never get there.
Yes.
But caution,
Yeah.
be careful. And that's what's age, whether you call it wisdom or not, I don't know.
Wisdom, most definitely wisdom.
Age can give you because you've had to learn something like that the hard way.
Yes. Love, love, love all of that. And so, my question for you, Abraham, in terms of your experience from transitioning from all these other careers into a completely new field, what's some of the key takeaways for you in terms of how you market yourself, present yourself from other industries to going into this one?
I'll tell you one thing, you never know everything. Even in interview, you
Mm.
don't know everything.
Yeah.
Present yourself as someone that says, absolutely, I don't mind learning here. I actually
Yes.
welcome the opportunity to learn because
Mm.
you can tell me and guide me how you've been doing it up to now.
Yeah.
And initially, I'm going to say, I'm just going to listen, observe, and learn.
Yeah.
My counsel or my input will come. Some of it may come in days, some of it may
Yeah.
come within weeks,
Yeah.
but you will get the benefit of that counsel relatively quickly, but it will not be except as measured through your own lens first.
Yeah.
And sometimes that counsel may come discreetly one to one, or it may come into this is the policy we'd like to follow. Let's test it and validate it first. There'll be caution. There has to be caution because you are, so to speak, new in the industry. But you'll make your noises in strange ways in such a way that they will gradually get to know who you are and your reputation will precede you from elsewhere. It follows you faster than you go anywhere. The amount of approaches I've had from former suppliers, from former colleagues, everywhere to say, have you thought about this? Have you thought like, yep, you're on my agenda, you're on my agenda, you're on my agenda, but I can't deal with it now. I'm
Yeah.
going to first go through that learning curve,
Yes.
understand a little bit more, and then gradually see if it's worthwhile and has a proper business case associated with it to think about a transition to another form of mindset or reinforce the existing mindset, but give it the due diligence that it needs that may come from experience you've got elsewhere.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what I've got from everything you just said there, Abraham, is because as you said, I'm sure now that you've got a job there, your network is saying, "Hey, Abraham, do you need this? Do you need that?" But as you're saying, it's
The
understanding
network
what you have there.
the network activated itself within milliseconds of me putting the thing onto the likes of
I,
LinkedIn,
I saw that. I
even
saw that.
before one or two of my former colleagues had already got on the phone. I've heard a rumor that. I was like, I haven't told anyone yet. How on earth do you hear faster than
Is
I
that
know myself?
what?
But the interesting thing is some of my former team have even started to make noises like, have you got a role for us yet? As I said, as I joked quietly in the interview, I said, don't be surprised. My team have threatened to hunt me down, find out
Yes,
where I am, and come and
yes,
work for me again.
yes.
I can't promise them anything yet or anything else, but maybe that's quite a good reference for you.
It
That the
is.
team will follow you down and find you wherever
Yes.
you are. But they said, don't even approach us until you know you are comfortable. Then we'll
Yeah.
come and get you.
Gotcha. Love it. Love, love all of it. And I would also say, Abraham, that's a reflection of you as a person and your leadership style, that your former team are waiting on the sidelines to see what Abraham's doing next so that they come and work with you again. So for me, that's the highest praise.
I think a little bit
Didn't
of
give
me is
anyone.
saying I have to hold them back a little bit because they're not waiting in the sidelines. They are literally sort of, my poor phone has been sort of buzzing at various points to say, oi, what's going on here? Come on, tell us what's happening.
Well, like I said, this network is, who you know is just as important as what you know, right, Abraham? And in your line
I
of work is very important.
I'd almost suggest it's even more important because the
Mm,
networks are your solution finders
yes.
and they will guide you as to what you need to do. Look, while I was between roles,
Yeah.
I was approached by someone within my network who approached me to somebody else and said, this is someone who can move stuff. We don't know, quite know how he does it, where he does it, or what on earth he does to do it. But
Yes.
you don't have a problem. It's just like we need to move something from A to B, and no one else seems to be do it. Give him a call.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm speaking to some lady in France who needs to move ridiculously long bits of something from
Yes.
one end of France into the UK and has no way of doing it.
Mm,
And it just needs me to sort of look at it. And about 2 days later, I've got a solution in place for her that says, go and speak to this one, sort it out. They're ready and waiting for your call. And here's the routing you're going to follow for that particular piece of logistics, which I could bring to the table and then sort of step back and let them deal with it directly. I don't need to be in the middle and in the way.
yeah.
What I need to do is be, for want of a better expression, the marriage broker to make something work here.
Love it. Love it. And just on a side note for anyone watching this afterwards, that's one of the skills and superpowers that Abraham has in terms of having the connection to help people, to help companies move things from one end of the world to the other end of the world. So just putting that out there as well. So again, thank you very much for your time. As we look to close this interview off, my question for you, Abraham, is what are the key takeaways for you that you've learned as part of this journey together to you want to give to others to help them on their journey as well?
I think it's something I've already posted
Mm,
as a reply to a message on LinkedIn,
yeah,
which was very, very simple. Know your own value
yeah,
before you go into the market in order to find your next role. If you undercut yourself, you have no one but yourself to blame when you're not happy with the roles you are in. Don't be afraid to ask for what you think you are worth, and you can prove and validate it.
yes,
To the tune of millions,
yeah,
don't be afraid to go in and ask for a certain percentage of that. Don't be
yes,
selfish. Don't be
yes,
ridiculous.
yes,
It's not worth getting, you're never going to be the one earning the same amount or more than the CEO of the business.
yeah,
But if you are making a serious impact to the business, enough so that at various places they turn around to you and say, you are converting a business from being loss making to profit making
yeah,
to a tune of a good few million, don't be afraid to say that and say, as a result, I want something that will make it meaningful for me because I want to benefit in the profitability and in the benefit of the business. Because if I've got skin in the game, it encourages me to go that little bit further.
yes. Well said, well said. And for me, what you just said, understand your value, understand your worth, understand the impact you're making to the bottom line, and be able to communicate it and
Yes,
articulate it.
and be brief and be succinct with what you say, which is sometimes the challenge to say. If you've done a heck of a lot,
Yes.
and if you were ever to publish everything you've done in your CV, you would publish this thing in multiple leather-bound volumes and you'd never
Yes.
finish.
Yes. Yes.
You've got to
Especially at
just
someone at your level.
pick the highlights,
Yeah.
pick the sensitive highlights that they will be looking for or will immediately impact on a potential employer,
Yeah.
but also put numbers down.
Mm.
Because whether you like it or not, it's numbers, it's money that makes the difference.
Yes. Thank you, Abraham. And what I would just want to add to that is the numbers, the achievements that are relevant for the company. Because someone like Abraham has done so much, so many different projects and so many different things throughout his life. He could, he could when Abraham I was talking, I said you could do several different things. In terms of a job title, you can do several different roles, haven't
But
you?
I think as part of our discussions, I
Yes,
focused down on two major key areas. These are two
yes,
industries I wanted to go into,
yeah,
not for any particular reason that said, I am super brilliant or whatever in anything particular. No, these are two industries that number one interested me,
mm,
and number two, I could see myself being slightly outside my comfort zone, but
yes,
also having input I can give, relevant input relatively quickly.
yeah,
And also, I could make a real difference. And
definitely,
I want to be based close to my. I don't fancy, traveling to and from Singapore every few weeks.
yes,
Although occasionally that would be nice and whatever. But I want to be in a position where I'm relatively close to home. Family is in the same place as where I am,
yes, yes,
and I can feel comfortable with what I'm doing. But at the same time, I can have impact massively beyond myself into a greater team and influence that team to do the best they can be. Not me, the best they can be. And it's
love it.
important when you're building a team, you build a team to be the best they can be, because at the end of time, at the end of their assessments, they're going to say, right, why were you not the best so and so, ABC, whatever? Not why were you not the best Abraham? Why were you not the best who you are?
Yeah,
And each person is slightly different. One important thing I picked up on as we had our discussions, the importance of the ability to find a safe space to speak,
mm,
and at the same time to have the team being able to challenge you,
yeah,
because that challenge is actually very good for a
yeah,
leader,
yes,
especially
definitely
because
for
it
a leader.
means that challenge, you don't want teams that perfectly align with you. You want someone that doesn't quite agree. The sparks can absolutely light real fires, but they light fires in such a way that you either got to get your message or get your thoughts absolutely straight to convince them. Because if you
Mm.
can't convince your team, you're not going to convince anybody. Or alternatively, that the truth lies between both parties. And that's where you can actually see some beauty happen as you're doing this.
Mm. Yes, great. Thank you for that. And one thing I just want to touch on from what you just said there, Abraham, is you talked about, we talked a lot about career clarity and what it is you want to do next. And one of the things you just said there was what was important for you is not to be traveling around so much, but also be close to home and be around the family. It's one of the criteria of what you wanted to do next in your role, but also, as you said, make an impact at the same time, correct?
Yeah, it's let's be brutal about this. You don't exist as a single entity. You are
Yes.
part of a greater network, whether it's your professional network,
Yeah.
your community network, or your family network.
Yeah.
They all help and assist you being the best you can be. Now, sometimes you
Yes.
have to lean on them to help you because
Mm,
you're focusing your energy somewhere slightly different.
mm,
And sometimes you can't give them what you'd like them to do. But generally, if you're a fully rounded, sensible person here,
yeah.
these things are important to you.
Always important, not just your career, but how it fits into the rest of your, yeah, everything else going on in your life.
Yeah.
Mm,
And you have to be sensitive to that fact and have to be practical with what you can or cannot do.
mm. Okay. So, last question before I let you go, Abraham. One of the discussions we had was you coming in, and you said you were a little bit in that panic mode, and I was challenging, but okay, so Abraham, what it is you really, really want to do? And do you remember what you said? I can recap it for you if you want.
Go on.
You said to me, I want to take control. I want to take something from scratch and I want to build it and I want to make a difference and the strategic side and build it up and put it all together to make it work and to make it happen. All right?
One of the biggest pleasures I had in a previous role a few years ago,
Yes.
it came out of a presentation I gave to an exec
Mm,
that basically turned around and says, have you heard of this note? This was pre-Brexit times.
yeah.
And I went to the board and I said to them, has anyone heard of Brexit? I got blank looks. No one knew. I might as well have been talking in Martian for that point.
Yes.
And then I explained to them what I believed it meant. I'd listened
Yes.
to some of my supply base,
Yes.
and they'd been very big on this issue. And they'd been working with me a little bit to try and make sure, first, before I can even make the argument, I've got to understand what's happening. And it was a little bit, a few meetings, and then started to work through it. And I started what got the nickname as Project Onion. It got the name of Onion very simply. it was so many layers on it. And as you
Yes.
peeled every layer back, you started crying more and more and more because you could see the pain that was going to happen. So I went to the executive concerned and I said, this is what's going to happen. This is where I believe it's going to be. And ironically, I called it just about right.
Wow.
Little bits weren't quite fitting, but
Yeah.
pretty much the whole thing became, if I knew about it, it wasn't a problem because I had the mitigation in place. If I didn't know about it, the standard line was go and tell him, and then
Mm.
I don't worry about it 5 minutes later.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because of that, I built.
You went on mute for some. No, I can't hear you now, Abraham.
I
So
thought,
yeah, slight technical issue, but all sorted now.
go on, James, please.
Yeah, yeah. So as I said, is in terms of you telling what you wanted, how close it is to your new role now, and the challenges opportunities, shall we say, going ahead.
It's a massive opportunity to scale this particular role,
Yes.
not the role per se, but
Yeah.
the teaming underneath it. As the business
Yes.
itself grows from what was originally 3 or 4 people to
Yeah.
what is now 100
Yeah.
to what may be something 10 times the size of it,
Oh
although
my
the
gosh.
teaming will start to be much more efficient as to how it works. Because obviously, when you're at about 100 people, there are certain roles you don't have multiples of.
Yeah.
But when you scale up to doing more sites, more roles, more responsibility, you don't need that number of people because you start to think more strategically
Love it.
instead
Love
of
it.
what is at present a little bit of a tactical organization.
Love it. So, and you're at the heart of all of that, where you said you wanted to be, to help with your expertise and contribute all that knowledge and wisdom, as you call it, to the to part of the strategy.
If you're in on the ground floor, you have an opportunity to build an absolutely massive skyscraper.
Yes, amazing. And Abraham, I know you're a really busy person. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and I wish you all the best for what's happening.
James, you have to take some of the thanks for this yourself because without someone like you to sit as my wingman as I go through some of this, to be somebody who I can go and talk to quietly and say, this is not working, this keep me on the road. Your role here was actually really critical to enable me to be the best I could be
Yes,
and to get the role I truly wanted to get and was
brilliant.
comfortable with.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Abraham. And it was a pleasure. It's a pleasure and a joy just to be, part of your journey to push you to say, no, Abraham, you need to go for higher, aim higher.
Sometimes I needed that James behind me to nudge me, well, more than nudge occasionally, to say, why are you going down this? It's not going to be what you want.
Yeah,
Push yourself
yeah,
like you do professionally. Push yourself and don't take second or third
yeah.
best.
It's easy when we tell other people to do it, right, Abraham? But then turn to ourselves as, oh, that's a
It
difference.
is the hardest thing on earth to do for yourself, especially when you are, as they say, between roles.
Yes.
You do need people to turn around to you and say, this is not going to go on for very long. You're not going to be on the market for very long at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
My family was doing that to me. You were
yeah,
doing that to me.
yeah,
You are not going to be on the market for more than about 3 seconds.
yeah.
And whether you like it or not, there's a truth in what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Abraham, and I wish you all the best and thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure. Have a good
Bye bye.
weekend. All the
You
best.
too.
Bye.
All the best.